Hello and welcome. It's me, Percita, and this is Percita's Paradox. Thank you so much for joining me today. I greatly appreciate you, your time, and effort in finding me on this thing called YouTube. If you're new to this channel, thank you so much for joining me today. And you already know, OGs, I greatly appreciate you week after week. So I wanted to talk today about something that I'm noticing I'm getting a lot in the comments in regards to the fitness challenge, and just I've dealt with it in regards to questions and answers in my emails for probably the last year. And I've always sent it individually and tried to handle things from the perspective of each individual person's aspect of it. But today I wanted to really just hone in on the idea of how to start. And you may say, well, start what? Start anything. Anything, child. Like, you have to understand that there's a rhythm that actually works with the idea of starting something new. And because you're starting something new, and because you're in a position that you are always needing to have the idea that you want to learn and you want to actually open yourself up to new opportunities and new energies and new environments and atmospheres, I want to talk today about that just simple fact. So the question of today is, how do you start, right? I'm going to start by speaking in regards to something in the idea of the fitness challenge, because I think that's an easy angle to use. But understand that what I'm saying is it applies to just about anything, if not everything in your life. You want to use these principles, and it's a few, it's about 4 to 5 principles that I like to say that have really been very fundamental in the idea of me reinventing myself and creating a structure within my newness of life and my purpose of life that I feel very comfortable in moving in. So first things first, you may say, okay, Priscilla, get to the point. How do you start? So here it is. First thing, you got to figure out what you're trying to start. And you may say, what do you mean? How many times has someone asked you, well, what do you want to do? Right? And you go through this long list of stuff that you think you want to do, and you talk about all these things that you're great in, but you still haven't answered the question of what do you want to do to start, right? So you have 9 jobs that you could do. You're good at everything. You feel great about doing everything, but where do you start? You start where you want to start, but you have to make a decision, right? It has to be a definitive answer as to where do you want to start. And you may say, well, okay, but I don't know how to pick it. That's not up to anybody but you. Because if you're good at as much stuff as you're saying that you're good at, then you'd have to understand that to start anywhere would just be great. The point is to start. So once you have made a definitive answer in your mind as to what to do, that's the first thing. Pick what you want to start. Secondly, identify what the goal is. You don't want to make a long-term goal, right? I mean, we say stuff like, well, I want to be rich, or I want to have 6 businesses, or what? Chop, back up. What do you want to start short term? Meaning in the next 90 days, what do you want to achieve? You want to start that way because you want to literally bite off things smaller. When you give yourself a super long goal, or you give yourself a lot of time to finish something, you typically don't do it. Why, you say? Because you give yourself all of this room and this idea that you just have all of this leeway in it, all of this slack, right? You don't want to do that. Literally pick something small. So for the people that are doing the fitness challenge, literally go week to week. Some of you go day to day just to accomplish what it is that you need to accomplish for the day. Don't start anything, especially something in regards to your health or getting back active, to say, yeah, I'm going to lose, 20 pounds in 30 days. I promise you, you're not. Promise you, you're not. And that's not to be mean. That's just to be factual. That is not going to happen. One, mathematically, that's almost impossible, because you would have to just starve yourself and not eat. And for my people who've accomplished it, always remember that the body doesn't even repeat things like that, because you're taking it into starvation and dehydration, and the body's not made to do that. Therefore, it won't allow you to do that. Now, for my drug people, meaning, you have taken and you will take, this is not in any application to you. But for the people that are all natural and that's what you're doing, impossible. So you want to then think of something smaller. Maybe your first goal is just to learn to be consistent, just to learn to be dedicated to do something by the week, just to complete 5 days, 7 days, 10 days of a workout and meal plan. You want to be in that mindset more than anything. For the people who are starting careers, or they want to look for new job opportunities, or if you're a creator or a content builder or script driven person, right? Then you want to be in a position where you're just completing that one task. Maybe you're writing that one script, or you're literally putting down your information in your planner and you're actually looking at it daily. Come up with something small. That's all I'm saying, is come up with something small, keep your goal timeline small, and move from there. Third, you want to absolutely make sure that you give yourself a celebratory moment when you complete it. Why do you say? Because every time you do that, you're more prone to do something else. And you don't need to wait for validation from other people to give it. You have to give it to yourself, because only you know what you really went through. It also puts you in a position to be a little bit more upset with yourself if you don't complete it. But you see how you won't be there if you're actually doing a small assessment or a small bite of the attack of things. So think about it like a sandwich. It's a small bite. It's not literally trying to consume it all in one breath. Because the next thing I'm going to say is allow yourself some time. Allow yourself to actually get better at something. Allow yourself a learning curve. Allow yourself to be in a space of really growing in what it is that you're trying to do, whatever that is, including something like losing weight, or for the people who are trying to maintain weight or get bigger. You want to actually allow the body progression. It would equate, I don't know if you've ever thought about just kind of an overindulgent moment of eating food, right? And if you've been there, and I'm sure you all have at some point in your life, where you eat to the point where you almost feel sick. That gluttony, that idea of just really being in a glutton state of mind, is the exact same thing when you actually take a bigger bite of something than you should. You want to think of that. When you're feeling that overwhelming anxiety or that over strenuous stress level of yours, or your blood pressure goes up, or you're just anxious and irritated, it's because you're doing too much. Body's not meant to do that. Mind's not meant to do that. Literally understand that you want to give effort, but you don't want to overexert yourself or your mind. So really, really try with that. Once you have done those things and you've celebrated, because of course you've done everything to complete it, then you literally take a rest and you start again. Now, when I say rest, for all the crazy people who are like, girl, you told me to take a rest, and that rest then becomes like 6 months or 2 weeks or a week and a half, that's not what I'm referring to. A rest could be something as simple as a day. It could be something as simple as some hours. You know what you need. Don't overdo it. Don't over-celebrate. Be in a position where you are ready to start something new. As you are celebrating, think about the next step that you want to make. It's always nice to write these types of things down, but it's also very, very important for you to just memorize them. Because remember, this is dedication, and it's more than just the idea of impressing others. You're really trying to create a rhythm that you impress yourself. And once you do that, starting something becomes very, very easy, because you actually know what you're capable of, you know how hard you're going to work, and you know how fast you're going to finish. Right? And that, to me, is more important than ever, trying to create a plan that someone else has created for their life, and then you're trying to then live up to that. Only you, truthfully, only you know what it is that you're really going to do. Only you know how you're going to work it. Only you know how much honesty you're giving yourself in something, and how much grace you're giving yourself. And I think it's crucially important to know that you have to do the things that you need to do so that you can make sure that you can actually accomplish the things you're trying to start, but also have the ability to restart when you're doing stuff. Now, the irony of everything that we're talking about, because it's so easy for us to just generalize this concept of how to start. It sounds easy, right? I'm really making it sound like, it's just these steps and you can do it and anybody can do it. But I'm going to be really honest with you. It's not a position that we have a struggle in doing those steps. The true issue to start is really the mental capacity to know that the fear of not being able to achieve something is what stops all of that. So after saying all of those things, the one thing that I always want to stress is that it's fear that puts you in a perspective of continuously making you relive the idea that you can't accomplish it. But I'm going to say something to you, and I really want you to think about what I'm saying to you. You suffer more in your imagination than you ever will in reality. And the reason why I'm telling you that is because after I've said all that, if you still find yourself completely engulfed with this idea that you're incapable of even getting to the goal, even after you've assessed, even in the process of starting, which happens a lot, understand that what you're fearing will never happen. It will only happen if you want it to happen. So I'll say it to you again. You suffer more in your imagination than you ever will in reality. You will conjure up things and be in things and places in your mind that you'll never have access to. That's just the way the mind will work against you. So you really want to understand that it's deeper than just starting. It's more of a conquering of the idea that you can't do it. Sounds crazy, right? But it's really this imagination of fear that we live in for everything. So even after you've done all the things, it's still this idea of like, what if it doesn't work? Or some type of a hiccup that happens and it scares you again into trying to remember the last time you tried to start something and it didn't work out, or, what someone said about you in your past, or how you are feeling about yourself right now because maybe you're not where you want to be, or you're comparing yourself to someone else and you're trying to tell yourself that you're not, but you're in a constant space of comparison because you're on Instagram or you're coveting what someone else has and you feel as if you should have it or whatever it is, right? I just want you to understand that we all go through it. We all go through it. And it's so crazy to me that people don't want to discuss that. They really want to just give you this, I'm just a bad mofo and I can do it all and I'm going to try anything. Don't believe that. Don't believe that. Because there's so much of that is not true, that is not spoken, that is not addressed, that we just think that it's okay. Most people right now have a lot of insomnia, have a lot of narcoleptic type traits, are just not able to just sleep because their mind is constantly in this place of competition or struggle to know that they're enough. And if you're one of those people, I just want you to know that you are so enough. You are so enough, that you are so well loved. You are so capable of just being you that you never have to compete. The competition is all a part of that imaginational fear that you just don't fit. I want you to know that that is not the case. When you can accomplish this idea of just knowing that it's okay. Your process is no one else's process. You don't have to worry about the failure. You don't even have to feel like you're rolling the dice and just like let the chips fall where they may. Put yourself in a position of understanding that when you are really strategizing with your imagination, meaning you ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen? You think about it, you see it, you address it, you realize that you've already conquered it in some other part of your life or in some past years. Then you realize that this imagination of fear can go away. But you know what you will never do if you don't do those things? You'll never accomplish that because you have not stopped to just look and say, I've already done that, right? I mean, just what's the worst thing that could happen? Once you really do think about it, I promise you, it just becomes like, well, what am I worried about? Like, I can handle that. I mean, outside of a person, thinking about trying to hurt someone or go into some idea of, doing something negative to someone or themselves. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the idea of people laughing at you or you not really doing what you thought you would. I mean, sometimes the idea of failing has to be so okay, so prevalent in your spirit, so okay with the idea of success, because you'll have to know that you'll have to go wrong before you'll go right. So you don't really worry about going wrong as much because you recognize that you must do it wrong in order to do it right. I'll say it again. You must do it wrong in order to do it right. Because remember, when you're starting something, you typically have no reference for the new. So because you have no reference for the new, you would probably have to go wrong before you go right. Meaning, if you've never been to a person's house or to a restaurant and you don't really have directions, you're kind of going off of the idea of feeling it out. You may go 99.9% of the time, you will probably be out of the area, or you'll need to go wrong to go right, because you'll probably have to fail, ask for directions, and then find your way back, or go through it, then maybe see if it's on the map to figure out if it's there. Because remember, the map's not there. It's not available. There's no reference. This is why fear is so upsetting to people. This is why it makes it so complicated for people, because you really want a reference. So we typically think about the things that we've done and then say, well, that's the reference. It can't be the reference, because some things that you're trying to accomplish, you've never done. You don't have anything to lean on, and you really don't want to lean on other people, because their fears will become your fears and things just get crazy. So just try to go back and listen to me. I know I might sound like I'm rambling, but I'm not. You really just want to understand that you suffer in your imagination more than you ever will in reality. So what am I saying? Start. That's it. Simply start. As always, thank you so much for joining me. I greatly appreciate you, your time and effort and energy as always. But I really appreciate you if you've made it to the end of this video, because that means you are really trying to start. Okay? So, as always, remember to like, share, and comment. Hit the notification button. Make sure that you're looking for me on all of the other little devices that YouTube has, the shorts and the stories and things like that, because I'm starting to utilize that, especially with the idea of the fitness thing going on. And remember, before you can do all those things, you have to do 3 things. And those 3 things are: live life authentic. Thank you so much for joining me. I greatly appreciate you. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.